Welcome to Backyard Family Fun, the podcast from Pride Pool, Spas, and Leisure Products. In Claxton and Savannah, Georgia, this family-owned business has spent decades helping create memories that last a lifetime. Whether you're a pool owner, a spa lover, or just looking to turn your outdoor space into a true retreat, we've got you covered right here on the Backyard Family Fun podcast. Welcome back to Backyard Family Fun, brought to you by Pride Pool, Spas, and Leisure Products. I am sitting down with Marshall Smith on this episode, and we're talking about maintenance, a very big conversation. And if you are interested in a conversation about spa maintenance, that is on another episode. We're talking about pool maintenance in this episode. Very different, some similarities, but, a lot of folks just have a pool or just have a spa. So, we wanted to make sure we talked to everybody separately and had a one-on-one with everybody, depending on what they have.
That's right. Well, thank you, and good to be with you again, Dee. I always enjoy talking shop about pools and spa maintenance, and so it's going to be fun to talk about pools. And I think based on how you started off is that, the difference between the two is, size of the body of water. One's hot water, one's, warm water or maybe cold water, depending on who the homeowner is. So either way, very important for maintenance for both of those bodies of water. So I'm excited to talk about that and look forward to take any questions or whatever, or maybe some FAQs when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some great questions that people have asked specifically about pool maintenance. I think one of the big questions that I see a lot is people saying, do you suggest we take on the maintenance ourselves as a pool owner, or should we have someone come and do it?
Great question. I would tell you, based on anything that we offer, is all of the above. You can check all the boxes. In other words, it can be a DIY. It can be Pride Pools and Spas coming out and helping you maintain that swimming pool. But I would tell you that pool ownership can be multifaceted. In other words, you may decide that you want to take care of it yourself, and along with certain things that help you keep that body of water healthy, you can do it yourself. With automation, it has made it easier for pool ownership. So we tell folks all the time that we're confident we can teach you how to DIY it. Otherwise, we offer that service as well, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever that they desire for us to do. But we can bring, the knowledge of pool ownership in the DIY side of it. But when it comes to us taking care of the pool itself, we can do it as well.
Yeah. I see a lot of people come in the stores at both locations when we're sitting here having these great conversations to bring in water samples. And, right. When you're talking about maintenance, I would imagine that's one of the first things you're looking at is, how do I know that the water chemistry is off?
That's right. Great point. Great question. Water chemistry obviously is paramount in keeping the body of water healthy, right? And so people feel comfortable swimming in that body of water. We talk about maintenance. We talk about water samples. We talk about the water chemistry that goes along with that once that sample has been analyzed. I would tell you that as important as the water chemistry is, what's even more important is circulation and filtration. And that is what we believe and know to be the most important. If you're turning that body of water over and filtering it as you're turning that water over, the water chemistry becomes, for lack of a better term, second fiddle, but also still a key component of proper maintenance and proper water care.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's so many moving parts. And so I think that's one of the things where, you're looking at, as a pool owner, you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, is the chemistry right? Is the filter doing what it's supposed to be doing?
Sure.
What kind of maintenance checklist do I need? So I can sort of see where that would be, could be a little overwhelming.
Well, and that's the reason why we feel like we're the experts to be able to help people navigate pool ownership. Again, modern technology is giving us a big tool in the right direction to keeping that pool healthy. So the automation piece is in place. Our product knowledge of what to do, when to do it, how often to do it, we provide that information, whether we're coming out and doing the maintenance ourselves or if we're teaching you how to maintain it. But back to the comment you made about the moving parts, and I'll say this to that, that there are moving parts that are important, but I would say that we like to think they're captioned, they're pieces that are three segments. You've got water chemistry, you've got automation, and then you've got what I like to call is maintenance, which is the cleaning side of it. So if you've got all three of these pieces, kind of like we were talking about in the spa segment about the important piece of certain devices like the CoverMate for spa, automatic pool cleaner for a pool. Highly recommend. Wouldn't have anyone own a pool without it. I wouldn't own a pool without an automatic pool cleaner. So going into certain pieces that are important to pool ownership, that's one of the smartest investments a homeowner will make when it comes time to have pool ownership. So yeah, there's I like to see three different pockets that are required for good, happy pool ownership. And the water chemistry is one of them, automation, and then cleaning. So yeah, and we teach you how to do it. It's simple. It really is. And so pool ownership can be fun. And, if you, again, as we speak about in other segments, anything worth owning takes a little bit of time, investment in that, right? So
that makes
there
sense.
you go.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Can we talk a little bit about the filtration system with the pool? Is there a particular kind of filtration system that you say, hands down, I feel like this is the best?
Wonderful question. And the answer to that is yes. Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's talk about the types of typical pool filtration systems. And first and foremost, there's cartridge filters. There are DE filters, diatomaceous earth, which is DE, short for DE. DE is short for diatomaceous earth, excuse me. And then you've got a sand filtration system. In Southeast Georgia, for the past 50 years, 95% of all pools that we build or have maintained have sand filtration systems on them. So we highly recommend that. Sand filtration systems make pool ownership easier and easier to maintain. And long term, how to operate it and then how to renew that sand over time, and it's easy. So cost of ownership is less. So ease of maintenance, cost of ownership is less. So we highly recommend sand filtration systems.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that being in Southeast Georgia, 95%, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
Would your opinion of that change depending on environment and location?
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. If you're Northeast, maybe, ambient temperature could have a play in that. It has some impact, may or may not. But for the most part, water chemistry is water chemistry and sanitation is sanitation. So I think some areas like to conserve as much water as possible. And so you may end up using a cartridge filter system maybe. But for the most part, sand filtration system in pretty much any environment is best suited. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because people move.
They do. And if they enjoy swimming as much as I do, they're going to want to pool wherever they land,
I'm
right?
telling
so
you, at this age, it's part of every process.
That's right.
If we moved here, where's the pool going?
That's right.
Let's talk about that.
Make sure there's enough room for that. Or does it have a pool?
Yes.
If not, is there room for one?
Exactly. That becomes a huge conversation.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about the backwash of a filter? What does that mean to those who don't know, and what does that look like?
So, kind of give an example. If your AC unit in your home has filters in them and they have to be replaced over time, I liken it to that. However, we're not replacing anything, but just we're cleaning the filter media by backwashing. So typically, if you've got a good pressure gauge that tells you what the pressure reading is, if it's functioning and it's staying around the number it needs to, then you don't need to backwash. Let the pressure gauge tell you when it's time to do it, because you can backwash too much.
Okay.
And so taking the bad out well as you're taking the good out. So we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is we want it to get the optimal amount of filtration would be let the filter build up its pressure and have a good pressure gauge before you backwash. So backwashing is important to good healthy water because, again, only do it when the pressure gauge tells you to. 8 to 10 pounds over normal operating pressure is a rule of thumb. And so once it hits that, it's time to backwash. So essentially what you're doing is you're cleaning out your sand filter by any sediment that has been created by the filter media over the past, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month. You know, the weather and the time of year can have an impact on how often you backwash. The amount of trees around your swimming pool can dictate how often you need to backwash. So physical debris, obviously in the pool, will drive up the pressure sooner than it would be if you maybe have your pool enclosed in an enclosure and it doesn't have the impact that, trees are not impacting it or shrubs or whatever aren't impacting the pool. So you may not have to backwash and rinse as often in an enclosure. So again, let the pressure gauge tell you when it's time to do it. We kind of make sure consumers understand don't over backwash because you're taking water out of the pool and you're taking the good out with the bad when you do it. So only do it when it's necessary. Typically, we tell people if you've got a moderate environment with a few trees, nothing major, you're probably going to have to do it once a month.
Okay.
I mean, so we're not going to be doing it daily. We're not going to be doing it weekly.
Right.
But typically about once a month, once every 6 weeks, you're probably going to have to backwash. So no big deal because you're going to backwash. You're going to lose a little bit of water. It's going to clean the sand, get that filter media ready to go again. Every 3 to 5 years, you want to replace that filter media too, by the way, because if it's sand, as water passes over it, it's going to lose some of its filtering properties.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like anything else. Water runs over something, it will smooth it out. As it smooths it out, it doesn't have the ability to filter as well. So I know I went from one side of that to the other side of it pretty quick. But yeah, backwashing is important. But under normal conditions, probably every 4 to 6 weeks is when someone's going to do it, depending on the environment the pool is in.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So we're talking about pool maintenance, and I kind of want to get in a little section of a kind of a what-if section. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about in-ground pool or above-ground pool. What if, and how do we know that we have a leak or something like that? And what do we do in that sort of scenario?
It's a great question. Obviously, other than the obvious potentially would be visual. You can see the water level is dropping at a rate that's wouldn't be normal. So if I would say May, June, so you would be, depending on the size of that body of water, trying to kind of give you some estimation about the typical evaporation.
Right.
You got to consider that as part of pool ownership, that, even though you're losing water doesn't mean that you're losing water due to a leak. It just could be evaporation. So I would tell you, give us a call.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, meaning that you don't know if you've got again, if you've had a pool and you've had it for a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, and you go out there and you see the water much lower than what it was the day before, then there's something going on, whether it be a plumbing leak, whether it be something in the system or inside the body of water, inside the pool itself. You'd want us to double check that just to make sure, because you shouldn't lose that much water overnight under normal conditions, right? So, again, just have to remind people too, though, evaporation is a normal course of action with a pool ownership, especially this time of year.
Right. So, but if it's drastic, I mean, that's when you're probably going to want to pick up the phone and say, hello, help.
That's right. If it's over an inch and it dropped that from one day to the next, then more than likely we're losing some of that water somewhere.
Yeah. And what does that look like? Obviously, every situation is different. So this is just me being curious. What does that look like in the repair process if you have something?
That's a great question. So, we typically can dive it. We can dive the body of water to check seams. We can check places that we know that are typical for where a leak may be. We can actually do pressure testing. We can do things to make sure that in that body of water, we can we can rule that out, or we can isolate it in that body of water that's where it's at, or we end up finding it's over by the filtration system, and it's maybe you're losing water outside of your backwash line because your filter didn't get seated proper. Next thing you know, you walk out and there's a big puddle of water that's out by the backwash area, and it shouldn't be there because you're not backwashing. And so there can be little nuances to pool ownership that as you get more invested in it and let us educate, you'll realize that it can be something simple, or over time it could be something that's going to require a little more effort to solve the problem.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But yeah, you definitely, if it's more than say what you're used to seeing, and that water drops considerably from one day to the next, you might want to do some self-inspection around the filtration system first, just to make sure you're not losing any water over there.
Right.
And then determine, you might even be able to self-diagnose, but then give us a shout and let us help you get it repaired.
Yeah. And if you're looking for any part-time divers, I would be interested in
Especially this time of year, right? Yeah. It's time to cool off. Absolutely. Well, we'd love that. That'd be a joint effort. We'd love to do that.
It takes a village, right?
Yeah, it does.
We can all do it.
Yeah.
I know this is, no, I don't know. I mean, let me just ask. I wonder if it's different regarding the pump for a spa and the pump for a pool when you might know it needs replacing.
Great question. And I would tell you very, very similar to a spa pump. It's the noise factor, right? So if you've got, it's kind of like, again, I use it like into a car ownership, you start making noises that weren't there before, and maybe it's making a louder noise than it was, but still humming along, but getting louder over time. Typically the bearings are coming out of that pump, and more than likely it's going to have to be replaced. That's obviously one of the biggest things that you're going to notice about your pump, is it making noises. So pool or spa, typically it's a rule of thumb. First thing you're noticing that the pump is going to go out because change in ambient noise for sure. And then also automation can detect some of that stuff as well to let you know if the pump is not functioning properly. So then it would be diagnose and determine if it's time for it to be replaced or maybe just healed, so to speak, because you can replace a complete pump, or you can replace just the motor. Depending on the age of the system would dictate the path I would suggest. So,
right. Yeah. Last question. You've mentioned a couple of times about automation and how important that is. Would you talk a little bit about like the cost associated with having an automation system?
Sure.
and maybe even not having one?
That's right. Being in business for 50 years, I've been a part of this industry for the bulk of those 50 years. And so I've seen it evolve from mechanical timers that were just basically, it was like a dial and it just turned, but it turned automatically, and it turned the pool on and off.
Right.
Or some people would just bypass the automation altogether and just put their pool pump on a switch, and you just turn it on, you turn it on, you flip the switch, right? So depending on if you're running 220 volt or 110 volt, or in this case 240 or 120, you're going to say to yourself, what's going to serve me best? But what we tell people is those mechanisms have come so far in how that pool operates and saves you money, because what it does is it can turn the pool pump on 12 times a day. If you want it to come on and off 12 times a day, you could do that. You automated your pool cleaner. You can automate that. You can automate your lights. You can automate all things that are pool associated to come on and off. And so hence it's going to save you time because you're not having to do it.
Yeah.
And it's going to save you energy because you can have it on and off as much as you want. So the automation and being able to set up a pool or a spa with that in mind makes pool or spa ownership easier and a whole lot more cost effective. So automation, we've embraced it. It's funny. We built so many pools over the years that the mechanical automation was what we did for the most years. It was a twin timer system. It was 24-hour time clocks, and we set it up, and consumers could set their pool and their pool cleaner time clocks to come on and off, and And it worked. It worked wonderfully, and it still works today. It's very effective. And from a cost perspective, it is still the most cost-effective way to semi-automate your pool, because you can only limit, you're limited with the mechanical pieces than the automation pieces. So the automation upfront cost is more. So you're going to spend a little more for the upfront digital automation than you would for the mechanical automation. But it comes with a lot more features and makes life a lot simpler too. So yeah, there's some cost association with the automation piece. But again, we now realize wouldn't have pool ownership without it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. It makes me think about, you remember when we had cars where we actually had to turn around and look when we backed up.
That's right. What camera? Yeah.
It's just like everything. You think
changed
now we
dramatically.
Can go on an app on our phone and turn the lights on and off in our house when we're not in the state.
There you go.
It's just, it's
same automation with your pool, D.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing. So if you've got a Bluetooth connection and you got what you need on the device that you've purchased, and you can put that app on your phone, there you go. You can be pretty much anywhere in the world and operate that pool or spa. So that technology has come a long way, and it's been applied to our industry as well. So it makes it fun.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah.
It does. The Jetsons knew what they were talking about,
They did a long time ago.
Crazy stuff. Well, make sure you click the links in the show notes of this episode to find more information on everything we've been talking about. And to get to either location in Savannah or Claxton, we're going to be back recording in Claxton soon. So maybe you'll pop in and we'll see you. And that'll be a nice thing. You can ask your questions. We'll answer your questions. There's a link for that as well. Marshall, always a good time to sit down and talk to you.
I enjoy it, Dee. Thank you for having me, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thanks for listening. Come by and meet your local pool and spa experts in Claxton on Highway 280 West or in Savannah on Gateway Boulevard South, or go to pridepools.com. If you love backyard family fun as much as we do, be sure to give us a rating and review, and subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And if you have a question or topic you'd love for us to cover, drop us an email, info@pridepools.com, or tap the links for Facebook or Instagram in the show notes of this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Now let's go make a splash and have some backyard family fun.
Pride Pools, Spas and Leisure, your home for